Good to see him, my friend. There's a mic.
Oh,
Ladies,
I get the mic?
You get the, well, yeah. I've got one built in here.
Oh, I see. All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Shaun Bailey from GM Performance, and introduce me to your friends here. Keep that about yay far there. Perfect.
So I'm Shaun Bailey from General Motors, and with me is Alex Doss and Stefan Frick, both from General Motors.
So you guys have come into the CAMC class, Classic American Muscle, with come into a V8 class with a 4-cylinder car, and have kind of dominated the CAM Challenge
We started
this year.
last year with a V8 car.
Right.
SS1LE is where we entered last year, and we thought we did pretty well with that, and we said, well, it's too heavy. What can we do? And we had an opportunity to take a new model year 19 Camaro and take it autocrossing, which we got permission from Chief Engineer Al Oppenheiser. And we said, well, it's going to need more power. So we started to tune it, and we started to do all the suspension work, and we did that in about 2 months.
Wow. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, why is GM here? You guys have, what, 8 cars, 20 drivers across CAM, F Street, Super Street, East, yeah. A multiple of classes. What is GM doing here?
So GM has a lot of new engineers, and all those new engineers are interested in cars. And we said, well, we want to give them the opportunity to actually do something with these cars. And autocross is the one safe thing that we can do. It's easier than giving them a car and telling them to go road racing.
Right.
So because of that, we started off with 2 cars, and we came out 3 years ago and we did F Street. And F Street was awesome, and that was very cool. And then we said, well, we only have like 30 people on the team. And we said, well, let's make it bigger. Let's get more cars. Let's use our resources at General Motors and expand the team and get more new hires involved with cars. Get more automotive enthusiasm in GM. That's how we got to the team.
Wow.
And now we have, how many cars? 20 cars or so on grounds. We practice every Saturday during the summer.
So is this an employee created? Is this like having a volleyball league, or is this an official part of GM development?
I wouldn't say volleyball, but yes, very much the exact same concept. It is volunteer-led by engineers that said we want to teach new hires how to do this, and we have elections every year where we choose our leadership. We currently have about 20 people that help lead the team. We have over 700 team members currently. It is an immense program for us to supervise, and when it comes to it, what it really comes down to is practice on Saturdays, getting butts in seats and teaching people that they can take a car that they work on every day at a desk and then go drive it.
And obviously there's some talent here too. You're the reigning CAMC champion. What have you seen in developing some of these more novice drivers? Have you seen some of this enthusiasm translate into their day jobs?
There is things that we are doing in the Camaros that are making it into production cars now.
Wow. Okay.
So I was actually chassis control engineer for the model year 19 Camaro. So this is the car I actually worked on all last year. And a lot of the work that went into that is actually specific to the things that I learned in autocross last year.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about this then. This is the currently the leading CAMC car at the moment. You're going into tomorrow with how big of a lead on the class?
About 0.8 of a second.
More
importantly, it's about 1.25 seconds over him.
Yeah. So that's a substantial lead in national level autocross, especially if you're talking about a class where the rules are pretty much run a 200 treadwear tire, and beyond that we don't weigh a minimum amount. Yep. Beyond that, we don't care what you do. So what's been done to this 1LE 4-cylinder Camaro?
CAM is part of the reason why we're here is because of the rule set. The rule set is very open and allows us to do what we do as GM engineers. We get to touch things that otherwise other people couldn't really get to, such as we did an ELS decal last year. It was a unique tuning to the ELS to help the car turn. We said, this is really cool. We should sell it. It's now for sale at Performance Parts. Yep. Pretty much everyone here that drives an SS1LE has the
tune you won with last year, yeah.
So I'm very proud of that, and because of that, we're trying to do other things such as that. However, this car was a model year 19 Camaro. It started life as a development car.
Okay.
So it is not a saleable car. This is something that will eventually be crushed. This is like all those camo cars you see driving around. Yeah. Everybody goes, what's that? Well, this is what a car looks like when you peel all the tape off of it. We then took the car and we put our ZL1 1LE suspension. So there's blue and gold DSSV dampers underneath the car. The wheels and tires are also borrowed from a ZL1 1LE. You'll notice the forged wheels. The tires themselves are the Bridgestones that we run to be competitive in the class.
I'm screwing this up already. But,
So everyone will recognize the new front end as being from the model year 19, but fundamentally the car is very much a similar chassis as to what we had prior to that for a 18 car.
Everything I've heard so far is this is all stuff out of the GM apartments.
Almost. There are a few things that we made custom, such as The catch can. That is actually the Nalgene bottle from the calibration engineer that worked on the turbo tuning.
Okay.
We have a custom-made intake, right? Somebody can make one of those, and we have a custom straight pipe exhaust system. Other than that is a stock engine, stock turbo.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
So what? Wow. So what's this car weigh?
Right now, we can get it to minimum weight for the class.
Really?
If we run it out of fuel and we drain all the tanks, yes.
And minimum weight's 3,400 this year?
3,250.
3,250. That's really impressive. So this is something that I could walk into a dealership, I could buy a 4-cylinder 1LE Camaro.
Yep, for about 30 grand.
I could buy these shocks out of
about $5 grand.
Out of the catalog.
Buy the wheels and tires.
Get an aftermarket intake or this one.
Exhaust. It's pretty typical stuff from the performance world. The engine tune, you got to find somebody to do that for you. That exists.
So,
and if it was my car,
yeah,
that would not be there anymore. I'd have a much bigger, much more professional turbo.
So the diff tune you guys developed last year, that's now an off-the-shelf part. I can walk into a GM dealer.
Correct.
They can download that eDiff tune into my. Will this engine tune be something similar? Is this something that might get released at some point? Okay.
There are people that might wish that to be true on the team. They keep talking about it. The reality is no, it won't, because it's not about fuel efficiency and the standards of General Motors. This is a race car part. We have tuned this to be a race car. It is not fuel efficient. It is not friendly. It's mean to the turbo. This is the third turbo on this car in 3 weeks.
So how much power do you think this tune is worth over a stock?
It's about 100 horsepower and 100 foot-pounds more torque than stock.
Holy cow.
Running ethanol, we're about E55.
Okay.
The fuel pump can't keep up with more than that.
So tell me about driving this versus driving the V8 car. It's a much lighter car, obviously, but it's probably also got very different power characteristics. How's it been for you to transition from one to the other?
One thing when we started this was, when we talked to the powertrain guys, it was we can't have the turbo lag anymore. We said we need to have it actually respond. One of the big things you get going through a slalom is you lift off the throttle, you get the weight transfer forward, and the car will turn. So we said we need to maintain that. So we also need to have power when we need it. So not just as it responsive to lift throttle, but it needs to have more torque on response or on request by throttle apply.
Okay.
So they said, okay, we're going to turn up the boost and we're going to do anti-lag. All right, well, what's anti-lag? Anti-lag is combustion of fuel on turbo, which is really bad for turbo temps. That's how we keep cooking our turbos. Currently, we're running about 10 to 15 PSI off throttle.
Oh, wow.
Over 3,000 RPM. It ramps up higher than the RPM range, but as you drop throttle, it holds boost for about 10 seconds. A significant amount. So that when you tip back into the throttle on corner exit, there is more torque available than in an LT1 Camaro.
Really?
Yep, more than the V8. And that is significant. In the wet, it was impossible to drive. You'd expect, if you don't have the grip, the response of tipping into the throttle is just too much.
Really?
So we actually ended up running back to the stock tires this morning because it was so wet. We couldn't find grip with the Bridgestones.
So is there any, how much temptation is there to travel outside of the GM parts catalog and throw aftermarket parts in, or is it a stated mission that you guys want to stick within corporate stuff?
I think it's more fun for us to see what we can do with the performance parts catalog. And when we realize that something isn't in the catalog, it usually means that we should probably look into possibly getting something in the catalog. One of the things that I know I want to develop for the Camaro is camber plates. Okay. Right now, for us to get the amount of camber that we want is that we have to run the blue DSSV dampers. These have a track setting that get us more camber.
Okay.
With the stock car, we're limited to about 2.5 degrees negative camber. And we think that it would be beneficial to a lot of customers to get some camber plates. This isn't going to be something you can buy and then keep your warranty, right? This is going to be race car parts.
Yeah. So what's next for? Are you looking at 2020 already? 2021 beyond?
The team is not that far focused. It is more like, what do we have tomorrow?
Yeah.
What can we do with this now? We actually have two of these cars. One is a powertrain development mule. So we have two engineers that are working on the powertrain calibration of this car part-time. They drive the car home, they drive it home, they do some tuning on the side, and then they come up with a new cal, and then they put it in our race car, and then we go test it. They have more coming.
So tell us a little bit about some of the other cars you guys have here. I saw a couple of Corvettes in Super Street, and what else do you guys have on the team here attending?
We have things we can't talk about. Somewhat like development, some of the things that we're doing now is actually trickling down to actual development cars for the future. Like, we're learning things that we want to apply to other cars.
Okay.
So because of that, we can't necessarily talk about all of them. I can say that we're looking at electrification. We tested a Bolt last year. We actually looked at a Volt with a V. We thought about doing some other vehicles, but currently, because of performance, we're stuck with Camaros and Corvettes from an outside the company or outside the grounds environment. When you see us, you're going to see Corvettes and Camaros for a while.
So that's just
That's
what's here at
core.
Lincoln this week is Vets and Camaros.
Yep.
When we talk about electrification a little bit, do you see that? Are we fairly close to having electric cars being competitive out on these two courses here?
I'm not going to say that General Motors has anything coming, but I will say that it's something that General Motors takes very seriously.
Okay.
I can't speak for the company per se in such things, but I will say that electrification is definitely in the future.
As an engineer, what are the big challenges to overcome? Is it simply a matter of getting the weight to a manageable, getting the balance to a level
From an
commensurate with a street
performance
car?
I mean, we've seen electrify. I mean, we got Formula E now.
Yeah.
Electrification is coming. Whether or not it's coming for General Motors is a different question. We're going to have electrified cars. We already have the Volt. We are a leader in electric vehicles.
I'm a former Volt owner, yeah.
Yep, exactly. So we have the ability, but whether or not there's going to be a customer base for performance, the question is, what would that mean?
Yeah.
Most people, I think, when you tell a customer that their electric vehicle is going to get more performance, they think range, not better 0 to 60 or quarter mile times,
Gotcha.
or autocross.
Gotcha.
How many autocross cars have we seen this week that are electric? Do we have anything that's even hybrid?
The NSX. Yeah.
NSX is it.
It might be. Is that the only one? Wow. Yeah.
I mean, until we get the ultra rare
Hybrids,
hybrids from Porsche and Ferrari, right? That's kind of what we got.
Yeah. Cool. So, well, hey guys, thank you very much for bringing this out. I've been dying as a cam competitor myself. I have been anxious to get a look at this thing, and now that I see it, I'm impressed at how little you've thrown at this car hard parts wise compared to the rest of your class, and how fast you've managed to go with it.
When the performance team does a good job, it makes our lives really easy.
Yeah.
We just get the cool car and we go drive it.
That has got to be a huge sense of pride for all you guys to be able to take something that could be duplicated in a couple days at a dealership and come out here and dominate these classes. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about eDiff, because that was a big deal last year, and now that is sort of out in the wild. How big of a deal is that to performance? When you started tuning with those, how much did it change other tuning in the cars?
It didn't. It worked the other way around.
Okay.
So we took the car that we had modified with similar suspension components and said, well, we needed to turn in more for a slalom. We're finding it's understeering the slalom too much. We needed to rotate. And so we actually tuned the diff around what we had developed.
Okay.
And then we worked backwards to see how it affected the base car. And we actually put it in the base car and saw how the car performed. And some of us actually like the way it performs in the base car. But we tune the ELSD over many hours, right? So the development team that worked on the original SS1LE went to multiple tracks, did multiple tunings. I went autocrossing. Not the same thing.
Yeah.
So when I do my cal, it has to be good at what it does, but it doesn't have to be good at all the other things. So we were concerned that if we were to release it, that it would be unsafe in other situations.
Okay.
So basically at 100 miles an hour, it tailors back to being the original cal, right? So it works the same on most racetracks. At lower speeds, it's beneficial, right? Low speed corners. So any second gear corners, you're going to get an ELSD performance that's tied to autocross.
Okay.
But as you get up to 100 mile an hour sweeper, it's going to act just like a stock cal. We also made it so it controls off, so it doesn't affect PTM, because if we had it interact with PTM, we'd have to go and retune PTM as well. Right? There's a lot of things that would have to happen if we start really integrating that type of behavior. Okay. So we worked backwards. We did it for what we wanted, and then we put it back into a cal and basically said controls off, and we made sure it doesn't upset the vehicle. We tested on a stock car around the MRC. We tested on all the different tracks that we thought necessary to verify performance. We made sure it was safe.
So, aside from your tire change today, what other type of tuning will you do at an event like this, or is this car pretty well locked down at this point? Or are you guys still coming in after every run?
Moment notice as needed. This is race car stuff. This is not production, right? We don't have to follow a lot of the rules that General Motors development teams do in that sense, because we're trying to achieve something. What they're trying to do is develop a car that's going to go 100,000 miles.
Right.
We break stuff all the time. Now, there are rules about this. We need to be safe, so there's limitations. But fundamentally, the things that we're doing are pretty straightforward and what any customer would do. which is part of the reason why they let us exist in the company.
Awesome.
So they don't look at what we do and go, they're crazy. They look at it like, oh, they're just doing what customers would do.
Well, we're glad you're doing it. It's very exciting. It was a pleasure meeting all you guys.